Tate Taylor is the new fastest high schooler of all time, running 9.92 in the 100 meter. He also followed that up by running 20.14 in the 200, which is the third fastest 200 of all time. So we're going to go ahead and break it down, go a little more in depth into some of the main things that stand out in his top speed, as well as his start, and some things that you can implement into your own sprinting. So we're going to start off with the 100 meter. We're looking at the side view here. This is Tate Taylor. We also have Brayden Williams, who ran 9.8, a wind-aided 9.8 earlier this year. We're going to look a little bit into what he's doing within the blocks as well. So main thing that really stands out here with Tate Taylor, does a great job with that initial push. He gets that first foot off at about 0.07, gets that foot down at 31, so he has a 0.27 time off the ground. I think that's really important to understand. We want to get from that block to that first step at under 0.3 seconds. Does a great job picking a lot of distance up. We look at Brayden Williams, and we can just see where he's at with his feet, and he has one of the best starts. He gets out in front pretty well in this race, and that's where I think Tate Taylor was able to benefit from, as he ended up having to kind of catch him the whole time. We could see he's in a really good spot there. But if we look to see how much separation he has from the blocks, with really both of his feet, so now he's really able to get a strong push. You can see a similar thing with Tate Taylor. He has the opportunity to really get a lot of push into the blocks because he's getting a little bit of separation. Again, Brayden Williams with that front foot is really getting a lot of push, horizontal push. We know that's important when it comes to being able to effectively accelerate. And then what stood out to me here was just like the drive phase of Tate Taylor. So we can see that left foot's coming really high up behind, but that right foot is kind of a little bit lower in how he's coming through. I don't think that that's something that he's planning on doing, something that he's like working to do. I think that's something that he can still improve on, is getting a little bit more height within that foot as he's coming up underneath. Could show some tightness in the hip flexors, could show some weakness in the hamstring, and also just an ineffective foot strike, or an area that can improve is that foot strike. You even see as he's transitioning through with that right foot, he's kind of going out to the side there, but then he does a good job of being able to recover, strike the ground really well. He ends up landing, I think, a little bit more on the outside kind of back part of the foot, which is interesting in, just kind of general mechanics. I think it's exciting because it kind of shows how much improvement can still be made. We know that, like, let's see, Tobogo, he ran 9.91 in 2022 and ended up being an Olympic champion last year. So that is a similar situation that you have with Tate Taylor running 9.92 in high school. Shows that he could still get a lot better, obviously. And just looking at his technique, I mean, he finishes great. And that's what really stands out, is like, look at how good he gets at the top speed later on in the race. And similar thing when he runs the 2014. He kind of actually slowed up when he was running that 2014 at the end. I do think it would be a stretch that he would have been able to run a lot better time if he was able to run through with a little bit more power with his top speed. He does a lot better getting that full range. He might be more of like a 200 person. That's why I say, like, he could really run a great 200. He might try to beat Noah Lyles' record here later on this year, because there's a lot that he could still do within that 200 that really stands out. He has a lot of really, really effective and great mechanics when it comes to his top speed, and it takes him a little while to get to his top speed. I mean, he accelerates pretty well. I know he got out not great here when you compare him to Brayden Williams, who has a really great start, so it's hard to say that it's not, his start is bad. He just gets himself a little bit behind, but then as he gets going, gets to a really good top speed, especially for his height. I don't know exactly how tall he is. Looks like he's about 6'2", 6'3", but when he gets a little bit better with his acceleration, and by this, I just mean, a little bit quicker off the ground, a little bit more effective with the foot strike and where he's landing. And these are some technical things that I'm sure he's working on and will continue to work on in college. We should be able to see, easy 9.7s and even lower than that. But I think what's interesting, too, is we see a lot of great guys that are able to run some great times in high school. Usain Bolt was a great example. Let's see, Tobogo is another great example. We have Tate Taylor. But I think it's interesting when one is talk about being very gifted with, a guy like this. I mean, he was running 10 threes, he was running 10 twos, he was, had to go from mid 10s down to low 10s, now going under 10. And that's not something that he was just gifted with. He had to work a lot on his mechanics in order to get to that position. And the fact that a lot of times people will just say, oh yeah, he's gifted and has all these right genetics and blah, 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 blah. That's just simply not the case. Objectively, it's not the case, right? Because he didn't just run 992 out of nowhere. He had to really get specific into his mechanics. And now that we see him at 992 and see some of the technical things he can work on, when he starts running 97s or 96s, people will probably want to say the same thing. Oh man, he's so gifted. He has all these talents, blah, blah, blah. Same thing with Usain Bolt. Oh yeah, him being 6'5". Well, there's a lot of 6'5" people that were not able to run 9.5. So I think there's a lot that goes into the technical side of being able to run faster. And that's where obviously I love doing these breakdowns, because you get a lot more opportunity to be able to get specific into how can you cut off a 100th of a second in your step, or be a little bit more effective in where you're landing and the positioning of your heels and how you're cycling the legs, and how will that make an impact on your run. And as you get more and more in detail and specific on it, that's what makes it so then you could run these great times. Yeah, there are a lot of great sprinters that have great genetics to be able to run fast, but a lot of it goes into the hard work and the ability to get very specific into the technique that I think leads to running great, not as much of the genetics. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about the technique side of it and how you can get better technique, you can check out some of the programs we have in the description down below. And we also do one-off breakdowns if you want to do that as well, to get a little bit more specific into maybe some areas that you need to improve. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.